what happened, what it was like growing up, but in the queue with the national team and then in the NHL, you had a lot of bumpy roads where, uh, I'll be blunt, there was abusive coaching.
Yeah, that too. Yeah. You want me to speak? There. You know, I guess I come from an era that you got a certain type of players that make the NHL. And then I came. I always have double, even triple whammy. I come from the Q. I'm black and I'm French, and I don't speak the English that well. So I had to deal with that all the time. And like I told you, like when I first started playing hockey, that was around the time the Montreal Canadiens won the Stanley Cups against Chicago, and then the Russians, the 72 series. And then I told everybody I wanted to play like the Russians. That was my thing. That was my goal. And um, they, well, playing junior, my first junior game, we were playing against Montreal, and then after seats of the fans from Montreal, and then I jump on the ice, own game, excited like hell. My parents in the stand, cross over behind the net and end up on the side of Montreal, and the abuse. I never, the only abuse I ever had is other players calling me Blackie on the ice. And this is the monkey sounds, the go back to Africa thing all game long. That was a buzz. That was the worst game I ever played in my life. I remember going to my billet's house and I sat in the corner. I couldn't breathe. I spent the whole night in that corner on the floor in the dark. And finally, it was about like 10 in the morning. I got up from that corner and I said, it, it's my choice. Do you want to go home? Do you want to keep following your dream and deal with that, or just go home, have a regular job, and maybe have the same situation? So I uh, I I, I swore to God that I would never let that buggy me. But I had a tough time in the sense that in the minor leagues I was always very good. I played well. I was always a top guy. But I would get to the NHL, and some of the old-fashioned coaches, they look at me and kind of dismiss me right off the bat, and they I didn't have the look of the hard-nosed Canadian, north south bang bang back check bang bang type of things. I always want to make plays. I always made good passes, create stuff, but that wasn't good enough. And then for some reason, there's always been the stereotypes like because you're a black guy, you need to be a fighter. Like it's everybody that I tell that I played hockey and a professional, they always tell, "Oh yeah, you must have been a tough guy. You must have been a tough guy." I said, "Why?" I mean, I played 7 years in Europe. The tough guys don't go to Europe, but I had to deal with that. And what during the pandemic, as I'm watching NHL Classic games, and first of all, I watched some of those games, and I said, "Was I that bad too?" So I go back to when I played, and I look at the coaches in the behind the bench, and I look at the coaches that coached me, and I realized that every time I made a team and I played either a national team with Dave King or New Jersey with Tommy McVie or what's his name? I forgot his name, but they got to know me. They had me long enough to figure out what kind of player I was, and they used me the proper way. Any other coaches, old school coaches that coach with fear, that they're no technical, not tactical, and they just assume you're supposed to know how to play the game. I never lasted long with those coaches, and even though the GM saw a lot in me, and that's why they signed me, but uh, my first year in Vancouver, like, the coach was so sarcastic every time I came back on the bench. I'm starting my career, second NHL goal shift, score my first NHL goal. and I'm thinking I'm going to play a long time in that league, but it's just, coaches, they needed to get to know me. There's my agent told me as well. Some of the people, if you come from a coach that played the NHL, comes from a small town, Saskatchewan, and he has to deal with black French kids from Quebec City, a different style, different everything. Some people weren't comfortable with that, and that's what I learned after I retired. They weren't comfortable with that, and then uh, that's why they rather not have to deal with me. And when I decided to go play to Switzerland, that was during the lockout of '94, and then my agent was trying to find a place. It was harder because some of the NHL guys in the lockout were going to play. And I found a little town. I just want to have my feet in Switzerland, and I found a little town that not too much money, and that was between me and the guys from the East Coast League. And I just finished playing with the Flyers, and my agent had a tough time to sign me. He couldn't understand why. And then finally they decided to sign me. I got there. I played. I ended up playing 3 years there, and then we won the league as biggest upset in Swiss hockey history. And then that GM came to Calgary, I would say 10 years after I retired. And we're talking about my journey there. And he said, "You're the best import players we ever had. We're a small budget team. You did everything asked and stuff like that." And I said, why it took you so long to sign me? And he said, "Oh, we loved it. We wanted you badly. That makes sense. But we had to go through the sponsors, the donators, everybody, the fans, at the referendum if they were okay to have a black guy as a player. And then the vote came out 52 to 48 in favor of me being a hockey player." And so
I think the
that just
prejudice
tells
there
you,
is
like,
worse, eh, Claude?
what's that?
I think the prejudice there is worse than Canada.
Oh, there's I never got so many bananas thrown over on my head. It
Yeah, I
just
saw that when I was in Austria. I thought the prejudice was pretty high there.
one time, you know, people sort of respect me around the league and stuff like that, even though I would go on the road and I could hear the monkey sounds and stuff like that. But one day, a reporter wanted to mic me up. He wanted to know, he wanted to see how I dealt with speaking English, some German and French with the different players on the team. He was doing a section on leadership. And then the mic didn't work, and so he said, "We'll try some other time." And we went to a town like I had for 3 years, the worst time in my life, close to the German border with a lot of neo Nazis, and they would come to watch the game and stuff like that. And after the warm up, he comes in and he puts the mic on my chest, and I said, "I don't know if it's the right place for me to do this, but anyway, the problem I had with that town was before I went to Germany and stuff like that." So I get on the ice. There's a blow up bananas from blue line to blue line with my name on it. I said, "Uh oh." And that game was awful. We won it. So the next morning, I was in the dressing room shaking. I wanted to kill everybody, and the players were awful towards me. So the next morning, I woke up late and I look at my phone, about 21 texts, and go, Claude, go see the newspaper, go see the newspapers. But I forgot I was mic'd up. So I get the newspaper, and there's a middle section, 10 pages, and there was my left winger was a black kid, black Swiss kids too. And then it was about the game and some of the things that were said, and then I forgot about I was mic'd up, and so the league came down on the owner of the team, the player suspension and stuff like that, and I thought that would come to North America. It never did, but people talk about the passion of the game, and some people tell me, "Oh, you didn't make it in the NHL because, well, so and so." But yeah, I love the game so much that I was never going to let that stop me.
Well, Claude, when you talked about different coaches,